Welcome, everybody, to tonight's call. This is a very, very special call. I'm glad that you're here today. We have 250 people on the live Zoom stream. We have thousands more who will be watching this on Restream. This call is very, very exciting. We have a very special guest and special guests, plural, because I'm very, very excited to interview a couple of our guests. And you're going to hear some great stories tonight. If you're new to this call, maybe put new in the chat. If this is the first time you've ever been on one of these calls, write new in the chat. We're glad that you're here. We do this for you. Look at that. New. Probably a lot of you are here for the very, very first time. Matter of fact, I'm going to send out a quick poll. For those of you that are here in the live stream, you'll be able to participate in this poll and let us know your answers. We want to know what you're looking for. And we want to deliver what you're looking for when it comes to your metabolic health. So that poll is running. If you'll take just a moment and answer those questions, that would be very helpful to us. It's going to run for about 30 seconds. Hey, Dean Farrow is new. Lots of new people here for the first time. So while this poll is running, let me tell you a little bit about these calls. We do these calls every week, and we often have medical professionals, or in tonight's case, one of the top experts in the world when it comes to metabolic health. And we do these calls for one purpose. We want to make life better. We want to help people who are struggling with metabolic health, with insulin resistance, with weight control, blood sugar control, cholesterol control, diabetes control, gut health, anybody, their hormonal health, anybody that's struggling with anything. We want to help you fix it by focusing on the right things and doing it in ways that are natural and drug-free whenever possible. Okay. My name is Trent. I will just briefly introduce myself. I started talking about metabolic health when my dad got sick and passed away. My dad had stage 4 colon cancer. And when my dad got sick, the cancer had spread all over his body. It was in his liver, it was in his lungs, it was everywhere. And my dad, for years before that, had had a problem known as insulin resistance. But nobody really talked to him about it. Nobody addressed it. Nobody was really talking about it 8 years ago when my dad was sick. And so my dad, who had struggled with weight control and blood sugar control and cholesterol, and he had psoriasis, which is a very serious skin problem all over his body. As my dad got sicker and sicker, he got more and more medicated. And these medications, I'm stalling here trying to find a picture of my dad. As he got on more and more medication, those medications had a lot of side effects. And my dad, one of those side effects of the drugs was colon cancer. And so my poor dad passed away, and I made it a mission to spread awareness and information about metabolic health. And that's me and my dad. And so if you're here, I hope that tonight we can save your dad or your mom, or maybe you. And that is why we do these calls. To kick off tonight's call, we have a couple of quick stories. And let me just give you the agenda for tonight's call. I'm going to interview 2 amazing women who have started this protocol, and it has completely changed their lives. Then we're going to be bringing on one of the top experts in the world who's going to be teaching you about a natural way, a natural approach to fixing metabolic health, and specifically fixing the problem of fatty liver. And there's a good chance, if you live in this country or anywhere in the world, there's a good chance you have fatty liver. And your liver being fatty, your liver having fat on it, actually makes the liver very, very damaged or dysfunctional when it comes to handling carbohydrates and fats. Okay, so we want to talk about that. First, I want to bring on my first guest. Her name is Peggy, and Peggy is a stranger who I met through the internet. And Peggy is somebody that's actually a health coach and very, very passionate about health. So Peggy has started on this protocol, and it's been amazing for her. Peggy, tell us, who are you? Where are you from?
Thank you, Trent. Like you mentioned, I'm a nutrition coach, and I live in Florida. I have 5 kids. I have a husband. And the reason that I became a health coach was because I went through my health issues back in 2016. And I had fatty liver, I ended up getting eczema. I had all of these issues, and everybody was telling me, you have to get on meds for the rest of your life. This doesn't go away. And it did not make sense to me. And I was a corporate girl for 20 years. And I decided, once I saw when I changed my diet, that it changed everything. All my symptoms that I had went away. I was like, I need to do this. I need to tell everybody, the world, about just nutrition and how important it is to change your diet and how powerful it was.
Amazing.
Now, fast forward, go ahead.
Sorry, no, that's amazing. So, okay, fast forward, go ahead.
Fast forward to 2024, like you, my dad was very sick, very terminal, and I was eating the right things. I was a nutrition coach. I mean, I should know what's going on with my body, but I had so much inflammation. I would wake up with my joints hurting. My back was killing me, my lower back. I would look like an old lady doing things around the house. Like my kids would make fun of me. And when I saw, because I saw your TikToks and everything you said made sense. And I said, I need something more than just my diet at this point, because I know what I'm putting in my body. It's good stuff, but I still have inflammation because of all the stress that I'm going through with my dad. And I need something more. So I decided to try it. In August is when I truly started doing everything. And I mean, I think it only took 2 months for me to see the changes in my body. And in my heart, I said, well, once this works for me, I'm going to give it to my dad, because my dad had diabetes, then had cancer. Unfortunately, my dad passed in September. But if my dad would be alive right now, I would have him on this. I have my mom on this, my sister's on this, my husband's on this, my brother-in-law's on this. My whole family is on it because they've seen how powerful it's been in my life, in my mom's life, and I can't stop talking about it.
I love it. So you had fatty liver, a diagnosis of fatty liver, and you mentioned the chronic pain and things like that. So liver numbers now.
Great. My ALT, AST, perfect. Actually, my doctor in December said, what do you do to, like, how do you coach yourself? Because I want to know what you do. And I actually told him about the system. But I
Awesome.
think because he's a doctor, he was kind of like, but he was just very impressed with my numbers because I had not been to a doctor 7 years prior. Like I had not been to a doctor because I just kind of lost some hope with the whole healthcare system. And so I decided to go back because I was on the system. I was like, I want to see my numbers because everybody talks about their numbers and I want to see that if they're good or not. And they were great. And my doctor was like saying, wow, you're 46 years old, your numbers are great, and you haven't been to a doctor in so many years. I'm so impressed.
I
So
love it. I love it. So I want to ask you a question. I'm going to give you a second to think about it. About since this has happened to you, and I know you have a pic. Do you have a picture that you can share? If you don't have a picture you can share, that's fine, before and after. But what I'm really interested in, picture
I
or no
do.
picture, is what has changed in your life, your everyday life, with this protocol. And as you're thinking about that, I want to point out something that Peggy just said. I was on a call just moments before this call where somebody said that not only had he reversed his type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, elevated A1C, he got off his Trulicity on this protocol. Not only was he off his medications, his A1C was a 12 and now it's a 4.8, but he said that his mother has reversed her type 2 diabetes. His wife's mother had reversed her type 2 diabetes. It was spreading throughout the entire family, just like what you shared. And that actually, I'm only bringing this up because that is why we started doing these calls, is to make life better for families like yours. So I'm so happy about that. Final question. Yeah. How has this changed your everyday life, being on this protocol?
I mean, having that back pain was it was not fun. I mean, just doing regular work around the house, just sitting down in front of my desk, it was very, very painful. And it's also it might sound a little bit vain, but it's good to have normal weight look good when you're a health coach because, feeling inflamed and looking like you're overweight is not very good when you're trying to get clients and you're trying to work with people and they're saying like, well, she's a little bit overweight, why would I work with her, she doesn't know what to do with herself. So
I appreciate, honestly, I really appreciate you sharing that. That's a pretty vulnerable thing to share. And, I think a lot of people can resonate with that, or that could resonate with a lot of people rather. And thank you so much. I mean, guys, just so you know, these stories are volunteer stories where I'm asking these people to come on. I'm not paying them, I'm not bribing them. This is just a really good person who cares enough about the world and other people and health to share her story about how she reversed her fatty liver on this protocol and has had an amazing transformation. So we're so happy for you, Peggy. Thank you so much. It's great to have a nutrition coach on here validating what we're talking about. So you're awesome, and thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yep.
Thank you,
Hope to
Trent.
have you back again soon. Okay, there is one other story before we get to our special guest for tonight. And after our special guest, so I'm gonna have one other interview. It'll be a short interview. We'll have our special guest, and then I want to explain this protocol very clearly, very simply, so that anybody that's here for the first time can watch exactly what it is and how it works. Now, if you would do me a favor, Peggy mentioned that she's a nutrition coach. If you are watching this call and you're a doctor, a nurse, a medical professional, if you work in the medical space, if you're a dietitian or a nutrition coach or anything, would you mind putting medical in the chat? So just put medical in the chat. Okay, pharmacist, medical, 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 health coach, medical, 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 medical. One of the things that we're seeing, and this is so cool, is we now have dozens, maybe even hundreds of medical professionals that are seeing this movement. They're seeing what is happening and they're all about it. They want this to be part of the unpharmification of the world. And this is exactly what we are building, is something that can help people get off and sometimes stay off medication, right? Okay, real fast, one more guest. I'm really excited about this person. This is Elizabeth Escobedo. And Elizabeth is also a stranger to me, a very new friend, new acquaintance of mine who has been using this protocol. So, Elizabeth, maybe just share with everybody, where were you at? Or maybe introduce yourself first. Who are you? Where are you from? And then where were things at with your health prior to starting this protocol?
Hi, thank you for inviting me. I live in Texas and I live in the DFW area and I work from home. I am a file reviewer for insurance claims. So I sit quite a bit throughout the day, and I had lost a lot of weight through the keto diet, and then COVID happened, as well as me getting into premenopausal age, and my metabolism just did not work the same. And during COVID, when I gained the weight back, and it was so difficult to lose the weight. And when I saw your videos and saw how informational they were, and how the transformational videos as well were so motivating, that I decided to try it. And I ordered it, and it has worked for me so well. I've lost over 20 pounds. I'm so happy. And this time I'm losing weight. The 16-hour fast has really worked. Having that 8-hour window for eating has helped. And the cravings have finished, and I'm not depriving myself of anything. The protocol, the balance, and the unicity, the Unimate have helped me so much. And I'm happy to be able to enjoy the foods that I like, have a balance in what I eat, and not deprive myself of anything. And I exercise when I can, and I've been losing weight, couple pounds a week, and I've been so happy to be on this program.
I love that. Thank you so much. These are people just speaking from the heart, and I really appreciate, Elizabeth, the way you shared your story. I mean, I actually during COVID got to the heaviest weight of my life. Is that true for anybody else on this call? During COVID, I
Right.
got the heaviest weight of my life. I was working from home. The pantry is at home. The fridge is at home. And I was at home, right? And I got to the point where I was even dieting at times, but because I wasn't happy with the way things were going. And just like Elizabeth said, I had started to slowly gain weight and I could see it, I could feel it. I wasn't the same guy. And so this protocol has been amazing for me. Now, you mentioned something about being able to still enjoy some of the foods you like. Would you mind, just for all the new people that are on here, what do you mean by that? Uh, in previous times when you tried to maybe lose weight or when you were on keto, for example, can you talk a little bit about that restriction versus the freedom that you feel you have on this protocol?
Sure. And when I was on the keto diet, I did lose weight. I did get to my goal weight, and I did keep it off for 2 years. But I was so strict on myself, and I denied myself, from eating carbs. I was very limited. And with this program, I'm able to have balance, drink, and wait 10 minutes, and then have a couple slices of pizza if I want, or indulge in, something that I normally would have, not eaten at all previously. And it helps me process my carbs and still lose weight. So I love it.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. And I appreciate you sharing that. I, like you, like pizza. And it's not that I'm eating pizza every night. It's not like I'm just like, eat whatever. But
Right.
before, I was either dieting or I was gaining weight. Dieting or gaining weight. There was no in between. There was no peace. And for a guy that loves food, that made it really difficult to like be normal and live normal. I was either on an extreme diet and, or I was gaining weight. So that is very, very relative to, I think, a lot of us. Elizabeth Escobedo, thank you so much. Is there anything you would say, maybe as we just wrap this up and we move on, is there anything you would say to somebody who's skeptical, new, maybe they're here for the first time, they've not tried the protocol, they don't even know what the protocol is yet, because we're going to tell them that in a moment. Anything you'd say to somebody who's maybe skeptical or on the fence?
I would say take the chance, try it. It tastes good and it works well. It changes your life. I'm really happy with it. I'm fitting into my clothes again that I hadn't worn in a couple of years. And so that makes me happy. That makes me excited and stay motivated.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth. It's awesome having you on this call. We'd love to have you back in the future. Congrats on all your success on the protocol. And that is just dynamite. We're happy for you. Happy for Peggy as well. Thanks again, Elizabeth. Really, really want to express our appreciation. Some calls, we have people that have before and after blood work where they show they've reversed like every chronic illness under the sun, right? And I really wanted to focus on one, fatty liver with Peggy, but two, there are a lot of people who don't have type 2 diabetes, don't have, 100 pounds. Some do, some don't, right? And we want to show you that with this protocol, you can accomplish really anything. It works for everyone. I don't care how healthy you think you are. Maybe you're a bodybuilder. Maybe you're like Shannon Davis, the registered dietitian who helped lead our call last week, who was amazing, right? Maybe you're like Michelle Hearn, another registered dietitian who helped us lead our call and is an ultra athlete, right? It doesn't matter how healthy you are, you can get healthier and feel better when you improve insulin sensitivity. And we're going to talk a lot about that. Now, one of the top experts in the world on these subjects is somebody named Lindsay Vin. If you've heard of her, this is her, the real her. If you've not heard of her, it's just a matter of time before you do. Lindsay is one of the founding members for the Metabolic Society of Healthcare Practitioners. She is an expert, like one of the top in the world on the subject of insulin resistance. All day, every day, she sees patients who are struggling with metabolic health, and many of them want to get off of medications or reverse their chronic conditions, and they come to Lindsay like she's some kind of a superhero or a wizard that can wave a wand and solve their problems for them. And what's crazy is she can actually help them often do it if they do their part, right? So Lindsay is amazing, and Lindsay's going to be talking specifically about this protocol, or sorry, she's going to be talking specifically about metabolic health and about the liver, how to fix fatty liver, which is a huge problem. So Lindsay, I'll let you take over, and then we'll talk about the protocol when you're through.
Awesome. Thank you. You're always way too kind with those introductions, but greatly appreciated. Anyway, so I want to share my screen real quick with you guys so you can see the little presentation I put together when it comes to fatty liver disease and what causes it and how you can fix it. In my opinion, and in all of my counseling with patients, I think one of the most critical parts of fixing something is understanding why you have it in the first place. If you don't understand why it's there, then what are you going to do about it? Because you don't understand the origins of it. Sorry, I'm moving y'all here in my you're in my way on my screen. So anyway, so you can find me either here at my personal business at Vin Integrative Medicine or at insuliniq.com. We can help you either way. So first of all, fatty liver, what is the cause? Let's talk about the cause so we understand the resolution and solution of the result. And so this is just an image. Healthy liver will eventually progress into what we call a non-alcoholic fatty liver. And then eventually, if you let it go unchecked, will become fibrotic and cirrhotic, which can lead to, unfortunately, need for transplant or death. I wanted to point out that over the last couple of years, we have made a change. We used to call it non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, but many of us in the metabolic health world, I think primarily Ken Berry, said, I don't want to call it what it not is. I want to call it what it is. You know, let's talk about it is metabolic associated fatty liver disease. So people will focus on what is causing it, not on what is not causing it. And so moving forward, I'm going to call this MAFLD or MAFLD when we're talking about non-alcoholic or metabolic associated fatty liver disease. This is the big point. Trent asked me to point it out, and I had it already in my presentation before he even asked, that we have this vicious cycle that insulin resistance will cause fatty liver. And guess what, guys? Fatty liver will also cause insulin resistance. And so we have to be very careful on what line we're towing, because if you have one or the other, you're going to have both. And so you have to get to the point where you can fix it. And I'm going to do my best. I get too sciencey sometimes, but I'm going to do my best not to get too sciencey. So briefly, insulin resistance, what is this? This is a situation where 93% of Americans, you know, probably greater than 90% of people worldwide where we have too much insulin because we've been pushing three things, the three primary causes of insulin resistance: bad diet leading to hyperinsulinemia, meaning too much insulin in the blood; too much inflammation, like Peggy had mentioned, and or stress. I couple those together. Stress leads to inflammation. All of those will lead to insulin resistance, which leads to this guy up in the top corner of, okay, we have insulin driving glucose into the cells, which they're not supposed to be in, particularly for purpose of this conversation, your liver cells. So we have inappropriate fat storage going on. And then we have a couple of other problems. We have this thing called hypertrophy of our fat cells. When we store fat, there is a good proportion, 95% of people are going to store fat in a hypertrophic way. That means our individual fat cells, these little guys over here, are just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We're not growing more, we're just getting each one bigger. The other kind of fat growth is what we call hyperplasia, where these little fat cells are just going to continue to grow in number. This again is only 5% of us, so it's a very small proportion of us. These are the people who can get obscenely fat, the 600-pound life kind of people, so not the majority of us. This is the majority. And what happens when we become hypertrophic fat storers and these fat cells get super huge? Well, they start to leak something called free fatty acids. And this becomes a big problem because where do these free fatty acids go? They go to the liver and they get stored there. So I'm going to go over this in a little bit more detail. Again, I want you to understand why fatty liver happens so you know exactly what we're going to do to reverse it. So first of all, insulin-resistant fat cells will start to leak free fatty acids, just like I said. And I'm going to go back and forth between this image and the previous one. So we have this Western lifestyle with this insulin-resistant adipose tissue, which leads to this increase in lipolysis and excretion or leaking of fat cells that we do not want. Number two, they're going to go to the liver because the liver is like the filter of the body. It will try to filter everything out, including these fat cells. And what happens is the liver will take them up and we will develop this thing called steatosis, which is fatty liver right there. Boom, we've got that happening. Next, the liver itself, in an effort to become or to not die, you know, if we become too fat, you die. And the liver is the same thing. If the liver becomes too fat, it will die. So in an effort to prevent that accumulation, oops, back to this guy right here. In an effort to prevent that, the liver will become insulin resistant, saying, insulin, no, you cannot let any more glucose in me. And when the liver becomes insulin resistant, we have a problem of, we have inappropriate cholesterol secretion, this decrease of HDL and increase of small dense LDL, and we have an increase of gluconeogenesis and glucose production. This is that thing that Trent was talking about, and I'm going to get into that a little bit. So gluconeogenesis goes unchecked. Your liver is literally allowing your body to make more sugar than it needs. Well, what happens when we have more sugar than what it needs? Hyperglycemia will lead to increase in insulin production. And again, we're going back to this. When we have an increase in insulin resistance and insulin production, and here's my next slide, we have more insulin resistance. And when we have more insulin resistance, we have more of this, more of this, more of this, more of this. And it's this vicious cycle that goes on and on and on that we have a hard time breaking. So again, hyperinsulinemia from the gluconeogenesis and from the liver being insulin resistant leads to more fatty liver. I hope that was okay. How common is this? This is terrifying to me. I found this today. This is the United States. This one is the US. And so the United States is leading by far in fatty liver disease compared to the rest of the world. If you can't see this well, it's Japan, Italy, China, the UK, Germany, and France that we're comparing to. This other one compares men and women and a total amount. So under the age of 30, 25% of us have fatty liver disease. At least men, I should say that. I'm sorry, men, 18% of all of us. Between the ages of 30 and 40, it's about 50% of men and 30% of all of us. And it just keeps going up. We're at 55%, we're at 60% for men. So about by the age of 50 and above, we have at least 50% prevalence of fatty liver disease in people. And I say this all the time, and I didn't put the slide in here. These are the ones we know about. This is a very difficult disease to detect. Labs don't always indicate it. Symptoms don't always indicate it. These are the ones we know about. I would gather that there is a huge proportion more that we just don't know about because they haven't been diagnosed. So how do you diagnose it? Like Peggy had brought up, elevated AST and ALT on lab. This is in your basic or in your comprehensive metabolic panel that you will get at a wellness exam. This doesn't happen until it's bad. I have lots of people with diagnosed by FibroScan, by one of the more gold standards, diagnosed fatty liver disease with fibrosis whose AST and ALT are normal. So just because your AST and ALT are normal does not mean you don't have fatty liver disease. So do not take that as, oh, I don't have to worry. You probably still need to worry. This GGT, glutamyl gamma glutamyl transferase, I probably said that wrong, is a little bit more sensitive, so you can have that one checked. You'll probably have to specifically ask your doctor for that one. High insulin. I'm sorry, if you have insulin resistance, you probably have fatty liver. And that's a really good indicator in my book. Triglyceride to HDL ratio greater than 1.8, you probably have fatty liver. And so these are simple ways to do it. The very base or the very king of the gold standard is your needle biopsy. I don't recommend this unless you feel like you're really advanced, because that's how they determine if it's fibrotic versus cirrhotic. And we just try to avoid invasive procedures versus non-invasive. The FibroScan is an ultrasound. It is extremely safe, extremely easy to do, and something that I would recommend if you're concerned, ask your doctor or get a consult to a GI doctor for a FibroScan. What can you do at home? I love this one, and some of them at home. If your waist circumference is greater than half of your height, you probably have fatty liver. If you cannot see your toes by just standing up straight and looking down, you probably have fatty liver. If you appear to have a beer belly like this poor guy over here, you probably have fatty liver. There are lots and lots of different scales out there that are bioelectric impedance that will measure your visceral fat. If your visceral fat is high, greater than 10, then you probably have fatty liver. And then last, if you can get a body composition DEXA, which are very cheap, cash pay, usually around $75, they'll give you the actual percentage of visceral fat from that measurement. So you can get these things done, all of these things at home on your own without your doctor's information, if you like. One study I wanted to present in an effort to say, okay, what are we going to do to make this better? So this one compared the standard diet to fasting to a low carb, high fat diet. And if you can see over here, the results between fasting and a low carb diet were very, very similar and very, very effective. And this is great. This is fantastic news because you can do one or the other or both, depending on what it is you want to do. And where does the Feel Great system come in? Well, wow, we have this thing called easier fasting. Unimate, however you want to pronounce it, I get made fun of a little bit. We'll create easier fasting for you. You can do intermittent fasting, just like Peggy had said, just like Elizabeth has said. It's a lot easier to do with this system. We're going to decrease your glucose response. We're going to decrease your wanting to snack, and you're going to feel full faster and for longer, therefore decreasing the amount that you eat. What else can you do? If you don't want to do this, then you can follow an insulin lowering diet. Avoid refined processed carbohydrates and seed oils. Avoid or reduce your starchy foods, things like potatoes and corn and peas. Fruit. I didn't do a big slide on this because I had a limited amount of time. Fructose is not good for your liver, and fruit is high in fructose. If you think you have fatty liver, really, really reduce and potentially avoid fruit due to the fructose content in it. You can Google a fructose content chart anywhere. Keep your grams, your total grams per day, less than 10 of fructose, and you'll be okay. Prioritize your protein and eat healthy natural fats, and you're going to do great. You can reverse. I have had patients reverse fatty liver in a matter of 3 months by doing these kind of strategies. So pretty fantastic. Again, if you want to find me or find more help on this, find Insulin IQ, and we are more than happy to help. So
amazing, amazing stuff. Guys, this is Lindsay Vin, who, by the way, is so incredibly passionate about metabolic health that she would volunteer for free to come on a call like this and teach 366 perfect strangers on Zoom and thousands more around the world how to fix their fatty liver, how to fix their fatty liver without drugs and do it naturally. And we are grateful for you, Lindsay. I'm grateful for medical professionals like you who are helping make the world a better place. Thank you. We're going to bring Lindsay back in just a moment for the live Q&A. So if you have a question for Lindsay, and Lindsay, please put in your chat where people could reach out to you if they want to get their liver test done. Maybe they don't have labs. Maybe they want you to look at their labs. How could they reach you? I definitely want to put more eyeballs on Lindsay Vin, and that's one way we can thank her for being here. Okay, I want to make sure everybody got something that's actually critical about liver health. And then I want to explain this protocol, and I'm going to give you some serious proof that is going to blow your mind about how this protocol that I'm about to show you can change your life forever. So, but first, let me make sure this concept hit home because this is new for me, okay? Have you ever looked at yourself versus other people and thought to yourself, you know, I'm actually eating pretty healthy, not perfect, but pretty healthy. And I see all these other people that aren't eating as healthy as I am. And I'm struggling with my weight or with my blood sugar or with diabetes or prediabetes, and they're not. That is hard. Does that resonate with any of you? Have you ever felt like if you just do a little comparison, you're getting the short end of the stick? Maybe you thought it was your genes, right? Maybe you thought it was your genetics. Or maybe you've looked at what kids eat. Maybe you look at your teenagers, right? And your teenagers are eating absolute garbage and they're thin as a rail. They're fine, right? If you have, you know, one little piece of cake or whatever, you're inflamed and in trouble for a week, right? Like seriously, in one bad weekend, it felt like I could erase a month of dieting, right? Everything I lost the previous month would go back on in a weekend. Does that resonate with any of you? The difference is those kids, they have a new liver. Their livers are still new. There's not damage on them yet, okay? The difference between people that maybe eat less good than you do, but who seem observably healthy, is their liver has not tapped out yet, okay? Once the liver has even 5 to 10% of the liver is fatty, if that happens, your liver cannot keep up anymore. Imagine you're in a boat and the boat is taken in water and you've got a big bucket, right? And that bucket is allowing you to bail water and stay afloat. As long as that bucket is in your hand, you've got a fighting chance, right? And even though there's water coming on and maybe your diet's not perfect, your liver is still healthy and you can bail the water. As soon as you have fat on the liver, it's like you're bailing water with a little thimble. You cannot bail the water fast enough. And that water, that poor diet, starts to cause all kinds of problems. You start to blow up and balloon, right? In terms of waist circumference and other things, okay? This is what is happening when you have fatty liver. And here's the good news. Fix the liver, fix the problem, okay? Fix the liver, fix the problem. And Lindsay just shared some aggressive ways to fix the liver. I want to share a way, if you are serious about over the next 90 days, looking better, feeling better, and fixing the liver so that it's like a newish liver, right? A refurbished liver. I want to talk about how to do it with this protocol. And I want to show you, I'm going to give you some proof tonight that literally makes my jaw drop every week. All right. So here we go. I want to tell you what we are doing, and we are starting a movement that is going to change the world, okay? I am not exaggerating. You might think that's an audacious statement, not when you see what I'm about to show you. All right, so Lindsay is an expert on something called insulin resistance, and she shared a little bit about that. Insulin resistance is the underlying root cause. It is either directly or indirectly correlated with every single metabolic health problem, okay? If you struggle with weight control, you're actually insulin resistant. If you have fatty liver, you're actually insulin resistant. And as Lindsay said, the fatty liver is going to put you into a death spiral, a negative feedback loop where because there is fat on the liver, you are getting more insulin resistant. And the more insulin resistant you are, the more fat will be stored on the liver, right? That's a bad problem. We want to fix that. If you have diabetes or pre-diabetes, that is like insulin resistance squared, okay? That is heavy insulin resistance. Even things like migraine headaches often start from insulin resistance. Heart disease, the #1 killer in the world, starts with insulin resistance. PCOS, the #1 cause of infertility in women, erectile dysfunction, Alzheimer's, you name it, you got it. Insulin resistance is the problem. Now, imagine with me for a moment that you are an inventor and you have discovered a solution to the problem of insulin resistance. What if you discovered a solution and you could solve this problem? Do you know how amazing that would be? You could save like 1 billion people from premature deaths, like probably more like 2 or 3 billion people. Okay, that would be amazing. Think, by solving this problem, your new invention solves a problem that could help wipe out other problems for people, right? Help change their lives, save their lives. You could save my dad. Where is the poor guy? You could save my dad. If you had a time machine with your discovery, you could bring my dad back to life. He could know his grandkids who don't know him, right? Who else would you save? Put it in the comments. Who would you save? Who do you love that you would save if you had a time machine and the solution? We have a solution to the problem of insulin resistance, and nobody knows about it yet. This is actually something that everybody in the world should be talking about, but nobody is, okay? This is something that has 5 patents on it, so nobody can copy it. Your invention has 5 patents on it. Nobody can touch you, baby. You're bulletproof, okay? This was originally developed by Rexall. Remember Rexall drugstores? Those of you in Canada, you know Rexall. Those of you that are over the age of 40 in the US, you remember Rexall used to be the biggest drugstore in the world. Back in 1990, Rexall came out with a blend of plant fiber, something with no drugs in it, that they said would one day, had no drugs, they said it would one day change the world, okay? This has been studied at over a dozen different institutions now. The Cleveland Clinic, the University of Sydney in Australia, I mean, they're the blood sugar kings. A bunch of other institutions. There are no drugs in it. It is safe, it is natural, and guess what? It works every time. If people use it properly and are consistent, it will work for them. And the manufacturer who has patented this has actually given everybody a 90-day, no questions asked, money-back guarantee. And I will prove it to you in just a second, okay? It is cost neutral. people that are on disability, people that are on Social Security, people that are on, fixed incomes. Matter of fact, if you are using this protocol, and you have noticed that you're actually saving money, that you are net richer on this protocol than you were before it, would you just write money in the chat? Write money, write the word money here in the Zoom chat. If you're safe, look at that. Money, 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 right? It's just, look at that. Okay. It pays for itself. This is now available in more than 50 different countries, but my guess is you've never heard of it before. Now, let me explain what this is. Okay. This is the opposite of a pharmaceutical. This is something called a nutraceutical, and it is very simple. There are 2 steps, okay? Step 1 is what to do when you're not eating, and step 2 is what you do when it's time to eat. So whenever I'm not eating, when I'm fasting, when I'm taking a break from food, I sip the Unimate, which comes from the mate plant. If you're a Latino, you probably know what the mate plant is. Mate is very, very popular right now. It is in the news because it increases something called GLP-1, which is a hormone in your gut. And when GLP-1 goes up, it makes us forget about food. People are taking drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro to try and do this artificially. The challenge with all of these drugs is that they are drugs. There are serious side effects that make them undesirable to many people, and they're also extremely expensive. But you really don't need, most people don't need these drugs when you can get more GLP-1 naturally with Unimate for a fraction of the cost, all right? And the Unimate is actually 375 times more potent than regular mate is. And so it's very potent and very safe. Now, when it's time to eat, there is a blend of plant fiber that is going to change the world. You will start seeing this everywhere because when you have it before your meals, when I've found that when I have this before my meals, and this is right in line with the clinical studies, my blood sugar doesn't spike the way it otherwise would. My insulin doesn't spike the way it otherwise would. It controls cholesterol, triglycerides. It is incredibly satiating. So how it works is whenever I'm avoiding food, I sip the Unimate. Before my largest meal each day, I have the balance. And I just slam it down right before I eat my meal. This is what Elizabeth was talking about, where right before her meal, she has the balance, right? I personally like to have one before lunch too. You could do 1 a day or 2 a day, but balance before your heaviest meal each day, and Unimate in the morning and Unimate in the afternoon for me because I'm an afternoon snacker, right? The beauty of this is if you skip a meal, that allows insulin to go down. We become more insulin sensitive. We're burning body fat for fuel, and the Unimate makes us forget that we're fasting, right? The nice thing about it, though, is when we skip a meal, we save money. We take the money we save on a meal. We take the $5 we save on a meal. This protocol costs $5 per day. So you take the $5 you save, and that wipes out the cost of the protocol, making it cost neutral. Most people actually save money on the product, thereby helping people improve their health without breaking the bank. In fact, it actually, your waistline could get leaner as your wallet gets fatter. Now, there are for sure some skeptical people on this call. I know because I am like Mr. Skeptic. I am Mr. Skeptic. And I thought to myself, well, if this was real, if this was legit, everybody would be talking about it. Everybody. So why am I just hearing about this? Why am I hearing about it on a Zoom call from some stranger named Trent who I've never heard of, right? So if you are a skeptic, which many people are, and that's a good thing, that means you're smart, you could go to your doctor. And if you went to your doctor and you said, "Doctor, I heard about this new thing. It sounds pretty amazing. Do you believe it? Is it real?" Your doctor's likely going to say, "I've never heard of it," right? There are lots of doctors that are now in love with it, but your doctor's likely to say they've never heard of it. And so if you said, "Hey, doctor, do me a favor, could you look it up?" Your doctor can open up the physician's desk reference and can look it up. And when the doctor looks it up, your doctor's going to say, "Wow, that sounds like Amazing. How have I not heard of this before? And 90 days later, picture this, 90 days later, you're sitting in the same doctor's office and your doctor's looking at your blood work 90 days on the product, 90 days on the protocol. And your doctor says to you, hey, Bob, what did you say that stuff was called again? I really want to look into that. Based on your blood work, I'm totally blown away. Just like Peggy, right? Peggy said she had fatty liver, doesn't have fatty liver anymore, right? People are insulin resistant, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high fasting glucose, high A1C. Why not give it 90 days, go back to the same doctor, do your blood work again, and you will have all the proof you could ever want, okay? The Cleveland Clinic, who is the #1 heart hospital in the world, said that this product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis. What? That's what they said. And that this could potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. This is special. This gives medical professionals goosebumps. And that's why we have so many, I mean, we had probably over 50 people on this call that said medical, because medical professionals, they don't want to be putting people on more drugs. They want minimum necessary medication. And that's what this protocol is about. Your doctor could look up the clinical studies. She could look into what it does for blood sugar, blood insulin, for GLP-1. It is all there. Plain, black and white, clear as crystal, as Willy Wonka said, right? So I want to give you some real proof, and then I want to open this up for live questions, okay? I realize that there are a lot of people who say, okay, maybe this guy's excited about it. Maybe he's had great results. Maybe the studies are awesome, but I've tried everything and nothing works for me. Maybe that's you, okay? Maybe that's you. And I love you because I am you. That was me. That was me. So I want you to do me a favor. For those of you that are on the protocol, okay, if you've been on the protocol, whether it's a week or a month or a year, I really don't care. If you have experienced a measurable positive result, and I don't want you to exaggerate, okay? If you have experienced a measurable positive result, if you would take 10 seconds and just put a sentence in the chat for others, new people, to see what this has done for you or your family members, that would be very helpful. And I will read a handful of these before the live Q&A. We need to go quickly. I started the call slightly late because of, well, I started the call slightly late, which I never do. But I want to read some of these and then we'll bring Lindsay back on. Okay, I'm just going to read some of these. I can't read them all. Zoom user says, 1 week, I'm down 5 pounds. I'm so excited. Hey, I'm very happy for you, Zoom user. You might not lose 5. In fact, you won't lose 5 pounds every week. Like Elizabeth Escobedo shared in her great story, she's been losing between 1 and 2 pounds a week, steady. And I want you to think about the general trend instead of the daily fluctuations, because it will fluctuate day to day. Okay, awesome though. I'm happy for you, Zoom user. Craig Clay, my triglycerides are down from 150 to 70. My HDL is up from 39 to 59. My insulin is down to a 5.4. My A1C is down to a 5.4. And Craig Clay says he's lost 60 pounds in 10 months. Michael Martin, 9 months in, I'm down 116 pounds, 25 pills per day down to 3. So he's off 22 drugs in 9 months. Off all of his high blood pressure medication and his reverse type 2 diabetes. Amazing. Jimmy Elizondo, reverse non-alcoholic fatty liver and type 2 diabetes. My blood pressure's down. My sleep apnea, depression, and erectile dysfunction are gone. I'm down 88 pounds. I'm off 8 medications. And I did all of this without a thyroid. I have my life back now. Derek Henderson, my testosterone level went from 159 to 422. No blue pill here. Renee Peterson, 1 year, down over 70 pounds, off her blood pressure medications, inflammation gone, depression alleviated. Johnny Grandison, hey, Johnny lost over 30 pounds, lost 5.5 inches off his waist, off his CPAP machine. Daisy Raimundo, hey, Daisy, lost 62 pounds, no longer diabetic, off metformin. Amazing. Sue Smith, 34 pounds gone. Amazing energy. My severe inflammation is gone. Severe brain fog is gone. No longer headed to the nursing home. I love that, Sue. Lost 22 pounds in 5 months, says Danny Smith. Renee Bird, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. Okay, let's just stop for a second. That is like 10 of you so far that have said you've reversed your type 2 diabetes. This is what I mean when I say we can change the world. Think about that. It's incredible. And that came from you, not me. Jim Grasser, right on cue. Jim Grasser, I've reversed my type 2 diabetes on this system. So did my mother and my mother-in-law. Peggy, lost 13 pounds, no inflammation, no back pain. John Iceman Frost, 94 days on the protocol. I've reversed my type 2 diabetes after struggling for 25 years. No more high blood pressure, no more joint pain. I'm reversing my neuropathy. I healed my diabetic foot ulcer in just a month. I'm down 71 pounds. Brain fog gone. Seasonal allergies are better. Sleeping better. More energy. Okay, there are 48 additional. Lisa Gent. Hey, Lisa in Toronto, Canada. Lisa Gent. Lisa's down 4 pounds in 4 days. Amazing. There are 46 additional messages that I could read. We don't have time for it, but I want you to see. There's the proof. Makes me, I'm in amazement. If you use it properly and are consistent, it will work for you, and that is guaranteed. In fact, you can use it for 90 days. For 90 days. And if it's not dramatically improving your situation, just get a refund. You have nothing to lose. You can just get a refund from the manufacturer. And so if you want to order this, now I want to bring Lindsay back. We've got to get some Q&A here. But if you have not tried it and you want to try it, right now there's a way that you can get lifetime discount pricing. Okay. We also have a Feel Great Family Facebook group with private coaching. You get daily private coaching from our experts just by ordering the protocol. You'll get daily private coaching, meal plans, recipe books, support, all kinds of value for free just by using the discount link and ordering the protocol. So whoever invited you to this call, just send them a text, send them a message and say, send me the link. And when they send you the link, it'll be a link that comes, you click on it. It saves you $70 forever. You get lifetime discount pricing. What would normally be over $230 costs $159 US a month. That's $5 a day. It pays for itself. It is incredible. And you can use it risk-free for 90 days. If you don't love it, just get a refund. You'll get the private coaching. You'll get everything. So just whoever invited you, look at those stories you just see in the chat there. Whoever invited you, say, send me the link and you can try it risk-free. Okay, we are going to bring Lindsay back. And by the way, let me just say, I don't receive this for free. They did not send me a bunch of this stuff. This is a box of my product that I bought. I buy it every month. I have been buying it every month. I use the same link that you do. And this, for me, has been life-changing. Somebody that's yo-yo dieted his entire life, I feel like I was able to get to my target weight and maintain it effortlessly for 2 years now, just using this every month. So, okay. Awesome stuff. Let's bring Lindsay back. We have a few minutes for Q&A. Lindsay, there was a question that I would like to start out with, okay? A person, possibly a person with liver damage, right, which we talked about, says that, what did she say? Hold on, here it is. I still have to watch exactly what I eat or my weight and blood sugar goes up. If I cheat a little bit with food, my blood sugars go through the roof, even with my meds and Ozempic. Is there something I'm doing wrong? Lindsay, how would you respond to that question from Dora?
And it sounds exactly like what you were talking about, is that liver just has got to heal and you've got to give it time. And, doing brief periods of healing and brief periods of not healing and you have to let it heal. You have to commit yourself to a 90-day is a good example trial and say, let that liver heal. And I would guarantee you, once you give it the amount of time that it needs to heal, that'll go away.
I love it. Yep, I love it. And okay, so we are going to open up for questions. If you have a question you want to put in the Q&A, we will answer some of these Q&A questions. The first one is from Angel. How do you know if you have metabolic fatty liver disease?
Those portions of the slides that I shared, there's no knowing for sure other than getting a fiber scan and or a needle biopsy. If you have insulin resistance, you have fatty liver. In my book, you absolutely will have it. So if your triglyceride to HDL ratio is greater than 1.8, if your insulin level is higher than 6, if you, like I said, if you can't see your toes when you look down, you have fatty liver disease.
Yep. And I'll come back to Dora. Dora, I want to make one other comment on your question, but I want to make sure we answer some of these other ones. Anonymous participant says, do you have any products that do not contain aspartame? None of our products contain aspartame. And I say our products like it's my product, but it's really just a product that I buy too, right? So yeah, they're sweetened with stevia. And if you're stevia adverse, there's also a sucralose option if you want sucralose or prefer that. But stevia is the standard sweetener, which is a plant, right? The stevia plant. Sandy asked, can you split the balance packet between 2 meals? Sure. You could do a half a packet before 2 meals, especially as you're warming up to the fiber. But I would encourage you to do eventually get to the point. I do 2 and 2. I do 2 Unimate per day, 2 balance per day. And sometimes I even do more than 2 Unimate. So, okay. Stevia is the main sweetener that we use. Some people, again, somebody asked, well, why is sucralose in anything? Some people prefer sucralose to stevia, so there's an option for everybody. Okay. Uriel Romero says, Lindsay, my wife has been following the protocol for a year, and she used to be pre-diabetic, but is not pre-diabetic anymore. However, her size isn't decreasing. Is there something she's doing wrong?
That's really hard to answer without knowing the entire history. So I hate to say it, I can't completely answer that, but I would say be patient. If everything else is working, the weight will follow.
Can you start the protocol while still taking Ozempic or a GLP-1?
Yeah, I'd actually recommend it.
Okay, and how would you do that? Any modifications for somebody coming off of or is currently taking a GLP-1 like Ozempic?
No, I mean, I would hope that the effort is to come off of those medications. So I would kind of scale it the same way. Like Trent said, maybe start with 1 Unimate and 1 balance a day. And as you ramp up to 2 and 2, maybe you can come down a little bit on the dosage of your GLP-1 injection.
Awesome. Does it help with water retention? I'll take a stab at this, Lindsay. Help me with it. One of the great things about fasting is fasting is amazing for releasing fluid. Okay, inflammation goes down. When we're fasting, our body actually starts to produce ketones, which is a signaling molecule to our body to let go of water and inflammation, which is a great thing. And so yeah, this does help. This would help with water retention. Any fasting protocol should. Is that accurate, Lindsay?
Yeah, absolutely. And it does help with things, when we talk about that, it's about dysfunctional endothelial cells, those leaky junctions that happen that allows the leaking and it allows swelling. If you improve insulin resistance, that dysfunctional junction is because of insulin resistance. Improve the insulin resistance and the leakiness, creating swelling goes away.
Yep. Okay, a couple of other great questions here. Why isn't the multivitamin in the balance methylated? The non-methylated version is far more shelf stable, and it's something that I've asked about, but it really is a product that's not necessarily a B vitamin product. It is a protocol that really helps with blood sugar, fasting, etc. Right? So let me just tell you for sure, that's not a problem for anybody. And I've never had a problem or had anybody with a problem. I've just had people ask about it who don't really have a problem with it. So there was another question here. So Dora had a great question about, every time she eats something, it dramatically spikes her blood sugar or it feels like she undoes everything. And I want to just come back to the fatty liver. I've really been digging into this and studying this, okay? And what it may mean for some people who have fatty liver and liver damage, okay? And they're on all kinds of medications, let's say for metabolic health problems that they have. It might mean that there's a period where they need to be a little bit more extreme to really try to heal that liver. And that doesn't mean for life, that doesn't mean forever, but it may take a few months of really extreme intervention where the diet is very clean, where the fasting is longer, where you're really, you're going hard so that the rest of your life can be easier, right? But this not anyway, so that's something I've noticed for a lot of people. Okay. One other question we'll have time for, and then we'll wrap it up. Sandy asks, how is it that the Unimate tea does not break your fast if it has stevia in it? And Laura Hawkins has asked, will this help with low kidney function?
Is that for me?
Yep, those are both for you. So let's do the low kidney function first, and then the Does stevia break your fast? Question.
Yeah, the low kidney function depends on how low the kidney function. And so if you are on dialysis, you have to be careful. Or if you're in like stage 4 even, you have to be able to make sure you get enough hydration without overhydrating. And that's where the T balancing with water intake can be a little bit of an issue. So talk with myself or Shannon or someone along those lines. When it comes to the stevia, stevia does not raise insulin or glucose levels at all. Therefore, it does not break your fast. So it's one of the better artificial, natural, non-caloric sweeteners that you can use.
Yeah, that's why we wouldn't put sugar in it, because if you put sugar in it, it tastes sweet, right? But the sugar is going to cause an insulin spike and a glucose spike, where stevia doesn't cause that spike, and it's also natural, right? So awesome stuff. Lindsay, thank you. Guys, if you or somebody you love is struggling with their metabolic health, invite them to this call next week. They will thank you later. We want to change the world and make it a better place, and start with every single individual that comes to this call at a time. And I want to thank Lindsay Vin. Lindsay, you can reach her. She put her link in the chat. Feel free to do that again, Lindsay. If somebody wanted to reach you, ask you direct questions, get a second opinion, or maybe get lab work done. Thank you, Elizabeth Escobedo. Thank you, Coach Peggy. Great to have you both on tonight. And if you want to be one of our success stories, in fact, John, the Iceman Frost, I saw your story. I'd love to have you on a future call. If you want to be on one of our upcoming calls, let me know. I'd love to feature you and talk about your wins on the protocol. So thanks so much, everybody. This was awesome, and we'll see you next week.